Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out today. Any week where the New York Jets lose on the prior Sunday, my talks tend to be not as good, so I want to apologize ahead of time. I'm going to assume that the far majority of this room has no idea who I am. How many people in this room have an idea of who I am? Okay, I'll take it. Nice for the ego. I still think there's more than enough for me to go back and give you guys a little bit of a history of where I come from on this. And then I'm on somewhat of tight time for me because I like to talk, but I'd love to do as much Q&A as possible because, you know, that's where we can really get some answers. I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union, and my family came here in 1978. I was 3 years old. We lived in a studio apartment in Queens, not much bigger than this little stage. And it was tough times, and my dad got a job at a liquor store in Clark, New Jersey, called Clark Circle Liquors, and it was one of his side jobs, and obviously my parents were very much my heroes. We worked very hard. It's one of those classic American dream stories. I didn't even know my dad until I was 15 because he worked every hour, every Sunday, every day. He went 7 years without a vacation day, that kind of stuff. I, on the other hand, was massively entrepreneurial as well. When we moved to Edison, New Jersey, I started my first business, which was a lemonade stand empire. I had 7 lemonade stands. You know, so multiple locations. It's funny, it's funny, the things I learned at 5 are still very much in play. For example, I'll say later at some point that every one of us are in one business, which is the eyeballs business. I mean, that's really the business we're all in. And when I think back to when I was 5, I didn't make the lemonade, and I didn't stand behind the lemonade stands. And I drove my little big wheels around because I wasn't a big enough boy to have a 2-wheeler yet. And all I did was hang signs on trees. And I believe all of us are so built on our DNA. So much that I'm about to talk about is understanding your DNA and who you are. And I didn't read a Malcolm Gladwell book or a Seth Godin book to know about branding when I was 5. I called it Gary's Lemonade. And what I did was I would actually just go to the streets around my neighborhood and watch people drive by and try to figure out which trees and posts were best based on the way they would drive. And I think about that as pretty interesting. And it really drives home what I believe about executing against your DNA. So needless to say, that lemonade stand business was really good. And then every summer was business driven, car wash business. I tore up my friend's backyard. We had a golf course, mini golf, which was massively successful, and we charged 10 cents a game. We're so stupid. Money. Anyway, then in 6th, 7th grade, I discovered baseball cards, and that became a very big foundation of my entrepreneurial career. In 8th grade, I was making $1,000 a weekend selling baseball cards in malls in New York and New Jersey, which in 8th grade at 12, in 1990, making $1,000 a weekend, I was a trillionaire. I mean, having 7 G's under your bed when you're 12 in cash is pretty wild. So, I was kind of that guy. It's what I did. I was very good at knowing who I was. And very early on, I knew that I was an entrepreneur and a business guy, and I wasn't a student. So as I was getting D's and F's in my classes through high school, I was making a lot of money doing all this baseball card and memorabilia stuff. And then I turned 15 and my dad ruined my life. Being first generation immigrant, oldest in the family, 15th birthday, next day, he drags me to the liquor store. And at this point, he had a small store in Springfield, New Jersey, Shoppers Discount Liquors. And I started working there. And I made $2 an hour bagging ice for 12 hours a day, which was devastating. I was making $25 a Saturday instead of 1,000. I was in the basement like I was Sloth from Goonies instead of being in the mall, being my own boss. And I hated it. And I used to cry every day that I'd go to my dad's store. Physically cry on the way to the store. And it was the worst. And then a very lucky thing happened. A year went by, and I was finally allowed to go upstairs. I guess Chunk came down and rescued me. And I was just dusting shelves like I was supposed to, and every single person that day came in and asked for the same thing. Camus 1990 Special Select Cabernet, because it was the wine of the year in the Wine Spectator. And after the 30th person came in and asked for it, I asked them if they wanted to back order it. Even though we didn't take back orders, of course I was a punk 16-year-old trying to do something new in my dad's store. Let me take a back order, sir. How much would you like? He said 5 cases. And after I was like, holy crap, this guy's an alcoholic. I was like, are you throwing a party? And he was like, no, I collect wine. And that was it. That moment, right then and there, I went from Pete Rose, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Silver Oak, Opus One, Chateau Latour, same crap, I can do this. So the fact that people collected wine was my hook. At that point, I was very much, you know, in a position where I wanted to help my family business. You know, I was classic, you know, punk kid who thought everything his dad did was wrong and I could help, and I really wanted to implement a lot of those things, but the subject matter wasn't interesting to me. I was really different than most 17 and 16-year-olds. I didn't really care about the beer or the liquor, and the wine became the first thing that kind of got interesting to me because it changed year to year, because people collected it. But most of all, and what I'm going to stress to you guys all day long, is that it allowed me to tell a story. See, storytelling is the game. Storytelling is the game, is the way we build businesses. It's the reason we all love Walt Disney. It's the reason Vince McMahon built a billion-dollar company, and it's the reason we're all obsessed with the notorious B.I.G. Because the person who could tell the best story wins. And what was interesting about wine to me was that you could tell a story because the product changed year to year. What I learned very early on in the liquor store was if an old lady came in for her Doors White Label Scotch, you were not moving her to Johnny Walker Black. She would kick you in the face before she would switch that brand. And the guy who loved his Miller Lite, you were not going to have that Coors Light conversation with that man because that was his brand. But in wine, there was no my brand. By virtue, the category was, let me try something else. And between that and the fact that people collected it, I decided that I wanted to get involved in my family business, and I pretty much studied wine from 16 on, read every day, you know, in every class in math and science. I was taking my D's and my F's because I had, you know, the Wine Spectator opened, and that's who I was. I was completely and utterly, like I am today, 1,000,000% focused. I knew what I wanted to do, and that was it. And that was the way it was going to be. And so I really got involved and started learning quite a bit about wine, started working every weekend, every day. And in 1997, I launched WineLibrary.com because I desperately wanted to change the brand name of our company, but my dad wouldn't let me, so I figured if I launched the website, since he doesn't think it's a big deal, when it becomes a big deal, we'll have to change the name of the store. So, launched WineLibrary.com in 1997. Nothing happened for the first several years. Patience is very underrated in business. And then took over operations in May of 1998. And from 1998 to 2005, I grew the family business from $3 to $50 million in sales, which was a good thing. And you know, my little brother got a basketball court and all that kind of stuff, so things were good. And I did that in a lot of ways, just by having the expertise.